Yes.
Okay, cool. I can't see the chat while I'm sharing the presentation. So Meredith and Jessica, if y'all could keep an eye on that, that would be super helpful. All right, so welcome. So a little bit about the Conversational Collective. We are a community of people who are exploring, learning, and creating all things related to conversation design and technology that leverages conversational elements. So we are super excited to have y'all here. We've been growing a lot ever since we went virtual. We actually started out as a meetup in Austin, Texas, and Jessica is our founder, and she helped kind of bring everybody together. And when the pandemic hit, we started doing more online events, and we've been so happy to see the amount of people who have joined us over the course of the pandemic, and also people who have joined us from all over the world. And we've had speakers from all over the world and community members from all over the world. So it's been really cool to expand online. So we're super happy to have you here. Thanks for coming. And we're looking to add people to our organizer team. So as I mentioned earlier, my name's Christy. I'm one of the co-organizers, current co-organizers, and two of my co-organizers are on the call, Jessica and Meredith. And we're going to walk through the types of roles that we're looking to fill to join our team. And also open it up for some quick questions before after each description. And then we'll also send you some information after the event so that you can review it on your own time. And if you have any questions, we are also including how to contact us. So here we go. Well, this is just a quick agenda. Oh yeah, let's do the intros. So I've already introduced myself a little bit. Meredith, do you want to introduce yourself? Can you unmute yourself? Is it not working?
I think she might have been kicked.
Oh yeah, she's gone.
Oh well, no, okay, Jessica, you go
first. Yeah, yeah. So like Christy said, I founded this meetup in December 2017 because I really wanted to get into voice UX and all that kind of stuff. And back then, there was not a lot content out there, not classes really and things like that. So this community had really helped me to learn about the job and and just make great connections. And it's been great to see how it's growing and that we've been expanding over the entire world now. It's fantastic. And personally, I am a senior UX designer and I work with banking designs and technology, so fintech. Unfortunately, I'm still not in the combo space. That's a little bit about me. Meredith, are you back?
I'm back. Sorry, I think my free Wi-Fi ended at an unfortunate time.
Oh,
but
no.
I knew that was going to happen. So okay, cool. So we're doing intros, I think.
Yes. Yes.
So for those of you who have not met me, I'm Meredith Schultz. I have been with Convo Collective almost since the beginning with Jessica. I think there was maybe one or two meetups I didn't attend in, when was that, 2017?
Yeah,
December of 2017. So we met up in Austin and I've been with this group ever since. And definitely love it. Love meeting everyone in the space. And for me personally, I was looking to move into the conversational UX space and do a career pivot from marketing. And I think this group definitely helped with that, with meeting other people in the space, networking, and eventually kind of using that as a way to continuously learn and kind of push myself. So I really like this group, and I think we have a lot of opportunity to grow even more going into 2022. So yeah, excited to talk about some of the new roles that we have today. And I work at LivePerson. I have been in a bunch of startups and did some consulting before that, but I now work at LivePerson on a managed services, kind of like an agency department within LivePerson, and I am a conversation design manager. So I'm we're growing a lot, and this also helps me recruit potential other conversation designers for my team.
Awesome. I just want to plus one what Meredith was saying, like being a part of this organizing team has really helped me keep in touch with like new topics that people are talking about, and also meeting a lot of other people who are working in the space, and also achieve different career goals. When I joined, I was working for a startup and I was looking to get into conversation design for a larger company. And through the networking that I did as a co-organizer, I was able to find an opportunity, which was really cool. So yeah, so those are the intros. So now we're going to hop into the open roles. And we'll, as I mentioned before, we're going to do Q&A after each slide, and then we'll have a general Q&A at the end. So I'm going to pass this over. Oh, yeah, sorry, one more thing. These are the current organizers. So we're a really fun group. We collaborate with each other, and not everyone is in the same location anymore. So although we all started out in Austin, some of our organizers have moved up over to Philadelphia, and some are considering moving to other places. So we collaborate online. So it doesn't really matter where you are. We can, work with you or coordinate with what works with your schedule. And we have, tools on the cloud that we use so that you can hop in and do what you need to do when you have the time. So yeah, it's been really, really fun. And I will pass this over to Meredith.
Cool. Thanks, Christy. Okay, so this is just a little bit of a preview about the specific roles that we'll go into on the next couple of slides. But just some general things to keep in mind about these roles. We are trying to estimate a number of hours per week that you would commit to one of these positions that we'll show you. It can obviously go up or down. It's a bit dependent. For me personally, some of the things, I've had a couple different roles within Conversational Collective, but I generally will work ahead of kind of the monthly event cycle and kind of like to plan in advance, and we do a good job of that. Christy has helped a lot in that regard. So as we're able to get ahead, I think it's a lot more flexible in terms of how much time you commit, because I kind of like to just chunk it all together and think about the meetup for Sunday afternoon and kind of get through it. But this is an estimate essentially for everyone to kind of just get the sense of how much time is involved. And then also these roles, we're thinking we can actually have more than one person. So if there's two of you interested in doing something, that's great. Or if you're interested in, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, we can talk about that too. This is pretty flexible, but we do have some roles where we're looking to add more help. And then we have some new roles that we'll show you that we would like to start doing that we haven't been doing before. And then finally, I know many of you are different states. These roles are remote. Before, this was an Austin group, like we mentioned, but now it is not. And actually, Lauren and Matt have moved outside of Texas. So we've been doing the remote thing for a while now, as everyone is. And that's just wanted to make sure everyone knows that we can definitely make it work with different time zones and schedules. And we do a good job of documenting a lot of the to-do, so it can be an asynchronous workflow that we have.
Yeah, to add to that, it's like we actually have a private Slack channel too, where we talk to each other, and a lot of it is going to be documented there. So I was just sick with COVID, unfortunately, for 2 weeks. So I was missing out on a lot, but like you can go back and like keep up with everything. So even if you like out for something, you're not really missing anything. You can always catch up.
Cool. Okay, so the first role is a speaker coordinator, and I'm doing a bit of that right now. So this is exactly what it sounds like. It's helping recruit speakers to speak in our various different formats that we have right now. So we have events where it's just been one speaker, a keynote speaker for the whole time. We have other events where it's a panel, so it's working with 3 different panelists. And that's helping, there's just details in that. So getting together their speaker bios, their information, making sure that they understand when the event is going to be, and that we meet a few minutes before it starts, and generally kind of getting everything together for the event details. and recruiting and just confirming. So it's mostly it's networking over LinkedIn and email in this role. And we can definitely use multiple speaker coordinators just because we do, as I mentioned, we like to work fairly ahead. It creates less stress. So someone might be working on, right now I'm working on September's, the next event, but I started that back in July so that there was enough time. And then we might in the future, if there's another speaker coordinator, say, okay, someone else is going to work on October's event, or work on January, so that you have a lot of time in advance to go find that speaker and wait for response time, those sort of things.
Yeah,
Any
and
questions?
sorry, I'm just gonna hop on what Meredith said. Like, the more people we have join the team, the less time you'll need to dedicate out of your week, because then you can share tasks and collaborate and things like that.
Yeah, any questions from anyone about this particular role?
One thing I just wanted to mention, I just thought of too, is that our events will be January through October, right, throughout the year. So we have like the last quarter of the year off. It's nice, like, for us to kind of all like take a little break, and then just because of the holidays, usually at the end of the year and stuff. So I don't think we had that written down in here. So the role mostly very active would be January through October, and then we'll have a little break in between.
Yes, very good point, Jessica. And also, if y'all are having trouble unmuting yourselves, please write in the chat so that we can help you out. We had a couple of Zoom bombers a while back, so we wanted to make sure to avoid that at all costs. And if there aren't any questions, we can move on to the next one.
So if I remember, last year you did kind of a call to presentations. How many people did you kind of get pre-set up through that, and how much lifting did you need to do throughout the year after that to kind of fill in the rest of the spots?
That's a really good question. I wish that Lauren was on the call, because she led that effort. I can just speak to what I observed. I can't remember the number of applicants that we had total. It was like 70 or something, right, Meredith?
It was, more than we could fit into the year.
Yeah. So Lauren really led that effort and tried to organize people into different topics that made sense for what they were pitching to us through the application process. And then she was able to really queue up what we were hoping to cover for the months to come. So we do try to front load and plan as much as we can ahead of time, so that throughout the year it can be a smooth process and there's no surprise things where we're scrambling. And we ended up having backup people too, because we had such a large response to the call for speakers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and one of the learnings we had, because that was the first time we did it, was we definitely did have some learnings around how we would probably plan that for the next year. And I believe the main thing was we asked people what do they want to talk about, and we got kind of a lot of different answers, and it took a lot of time, as Christy mentioned, that Lauren, who led that effort, kind of had to do a whole, we had a Miro board open. we were mapping these themes to figure out how to create these different topics for each month. But one thing we're thinking about this year, for the next year, when we do that call for speakers, is being a little more focused in the programming side of things and those topics ourselves, and then having people self-select so that it's a little bit easier to bucket. So we're going to try some different things in the next, as we start planning for 2022, which is fun. You're planning programming, that kind of the content, what is the name of this event? What are people interested in right now? Where are the trending topics? So I think it's kind of a fun time to get involved as we're planning that content for 2022.
And to answer,
oh, sorry, there's a question in the chat. Were you?
Yeah, go ahead, Jessica.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to read it real quick. So it's a really good question. How do we identify who qualifies to be a speaker, and what criteria do we need to look out for?
So I'll just hop in real quick. We had a speaker application form where people were able to submit their bios, their backgrounds, and the topics that they would be interested in talking through. But our team also is very involved in just the community online, like anyone who's working in the space. So we also reached out to people that we knew who we thought were doing cool projects. It's really just open to anyone who's passionate about this topic and wants to share, some learnings from a project that they did, or methods that they used, or anything that could be interesting to the community at large and would help the community at large. We're not like super rigid with our qualifiers for speakers. We like to include people from all levels and backgrounds so that they can speak to those members of the community who fit into that same kind of bucket. As I said before, we had such an overwhelming response last year that we just tried to kind of mix it up and keep a good balance, I would say. Meredith, Jessica, do y'all have anything to add?
Yeah, I don't think we had to turn anyone away. I think the main thing we learned is we learned that this was not necessarily going to be a just pure advertising your company sort of content play, which that can happen with this sort of thing. So, but that really didn't. I think that didn't really happen. It was something we were on the lookout for, but we didn't even have. Everyone kind of came in with good intentions to present content that was useful. So some speakers did send us links to YouTube videos. That was really helpful. And we kind of, as moving into 2022, we are thinking about being a little more proactive to get speakers. So we might want to do more outreach, planning ahead, like getting a big name like a Kathy Pearl, or a big kind of influencer in the space would be something that we said we think we're ready for that in 2022, now that we've kind of been building our meetup brand. So that's something we're thinking about. And it's been kind of a group discussion. When we got all of those applicants, we kind of went through and various people who knew them, as Christy mentioned, we have sort of just grouped them together and tried to keep a good balance. We always obviously think about diversity. We think about startups versus big companies, different sort of industries, different technologies. We want to have a full balance of the industry and where it's at right now.
Yeah, and great place to find people too is like to get involved with all of the conversational meetup and not meetups, LinkedIn groups. So that's also where we can reach out and see who would be interested. I think there's 4 that I'm involved in where I always post our events and stuff. There might be more that I'm missing, but yeah, that's definitely also a good place to start.
So if you have more questions about this specific role, please put them in the chat and we'll get to it at the end. I want to keep you cognizant of time. So we're going to move on to the next role.
Cool. Okay, so our event coordinator role, I've also played. I've also done that role a few times now. So that's a lot of the online sort of Zoom coordination, which it took us some time to get that locked down and figure that out back in 2020 when we started. So in person, if we choose to do that in the future, which could be something we talk about, that would be securing a venue, kind of the setup, those sort of things. When it's virtual, it's a lot more of getting the Zoom link together, making sure that you're letting people in, handling the muting technology, as Christy was doing earlier, getting music for the event, figure out what's being shown on the screen, which we have a template. So it's kind of running all of the the Zoom event, screen and audio, those sort of things. So definitely for someone who is comfortable doing that. And sometimes we had that Zoom bomber, so sometimes it's like a high pressure situation. So it's helpful to have someone be logged into Zoom and can change settings and those sort of things. But it's fun. It's kind of fun to do the run of show sort of tasks. Any questions about this one?
I just wanted to add real quick, we also have everything documented already. So our whole process, so it's not something like we would have like put in your hands and be like, hey, come up with how to coordinate any of that. Like I mean, of course, if you have improvement ideas, great, but everything else is already documented. So there shouldn't be many surprises with the role or anything. It should be pretty straightforward. Yeah, any questions?
Cool. Okay, I think we can go on to the next one then.
All right, I'm gonna hop in here. Social media coordinator. So we have been sending out a monthly newsletter for about a year now. And we like to send out a newsletter ahead of time, like a week before, to let people know what what event is coming up. So the social media coordinator would be working on the newsletter. They would also create the landing pages to promote the event online. We currently use Eventbrite for RSVPs. We also have a large following on Meetup. We have a Facebook group as well, and we are about to launch a website. So we'll have a page dedicated to each event on the website as well. And then there's just creating content to promote the events across all social media platforms. So we have a Twitter account. Jessica has made sure we're very active on LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn group. We also promote our events on different Slack channels, like such Slack channels that are focused on technology or focused on conversation design. And then there's also the creating the visual for the posts. So we have recently started using Canva because it's an easy tool to learn and is user-friendly for anyone, even if you don't have graphic design skills or background. We have a template, so it's very easy to take the template and just update the information and drop in the photos of the speakers as needed. So that's pretty easy and not overwhelming at all. And then we also post our event recordings to our YouTube channel. Meredith has been helping with that this year. She's been using the software that comes with your MacBook or your Apple computer. So not super intense editing skills, just, you know, cutting out the intro so that we don't get copyright dings for music and title infringement, and just making sure that it runs smoothly. And then there are some other things like monitoring our social profiles and engaging with the community. So if people are tweeting during the event, you know, liking their tweets or responding, retweeting, sharing, answering questions on social media, that kind of thing. Any questions about social media coordinator? All right, I'm going to take the silence as a no. So we're going to move on to the next one. Community coordinator. So this one is really like the cheerleader and advocate for growing the community and creating that space of people who are really interested and passionate about all things conversational tech. So monitoring our community platforms. So we currently use Slack, as Jessica mentioned, but we are considering maybe moving away from Slack and using another platform like Discord or something else. So that's TBD. And as I mentioned before, we have a LinkedIn group and a Facebook group. So regularly posting on the community platform so we can start discussions and have engagement there and make it feel like a living, breathing community and space, even if it's all online. Posting links in the chat to engage with people. If you've come across any cool like articles or new announcements or anything that's relevant to the topic, sharing that in those groups. Handling the Q&A at in-person events. So we are virtual right now, although we have the possibility of maybe doing in-person events depending on where our coordinators are located. So just, you know, helping to run the microphone and keeping time. And then for recruiting members to join the community. So we'd like to have as many people as possible join our online community platform and stay engaged there, you know, share what's going on in the space, what projects they're working on, ask questions, get help, collaborate, post jobs, post other events. Like, we want it to be a very lively place to be, and that's useful and brings value to our community members. So recruiting members to join would be great. Any questions about community coordinator? All right, gonna move on to the next one. Fundraising coordinator. So our our meetup is a volunteer run meetup, and we have some ideas about some new and exciting things that we'd like to do in 2022, and we're hoping to lock down some sponsorships to make that happen. So the fundraising coordinator would create a packet, a sponsorship packet, to pitch to people who could be potential sponsors, or if anyone reaches out and asks about being a sponsor, we could send them the packet to easily show them the different levels of sponsorship that are available and what perks they receive in exchange for being a sponsor. So the fundraising coordinator would pitch to potential monetary sponsors, and also keep track of the books or the money flow for the Combo Collective. So, what money we're taking in and how we use it, and also consider plans for donations from the community. We've played with some platforms that allow our community members to donate and help fund our efforts in the past. So just building upon that. Any questions about fundraising coordinator? Okay, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jessica.
Yeah, so also a community advocate or a street team member. So yeah, just retweeting event about our events, but also, of course, if you find anything related to tweet that, right, like in the Convo space, then engaging with any posts on social media, and in our platforms, like on LinkedIn, for example, in our LinkedIn group, Facebook group. Then, yeah, of course, telling all your friends or co-workers if they would be interested in this space to join us, just to kind of help with growing Convo Collective in general, any way possible. Yeah, and of course, attend Convo Collective events as much as possible. Of course, we don't always join every single one either. If we have situations coming up, that's not a problem. So, but yeah, for the most part, it'd be great to see you at the events. Any questions?
I was just going to add, this one is kind of I think it's the one with the least amount of time commitment, but it's an easy way to help us spread the word, but it's also helpful for yourself, to have something to talk about and share, and tag our speakers. And it's sort of, if you're trying to kind of build your presence on LinkedIn or another social network, it's kind of an easy way to do that, to build your presence in the conversational space. And helps us too, right?
That's a great point, Meredith. What we do is, like, if you do share, you can use your own handles, right? So if you're on LinkedIn and you have your profile, you can share with that, and which then will draw some people towards your profile, right? Related in the field. I'm getting so many requests from people that are working in the space now, just from always sharing the events and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely really helpful for your personal growth in the space, career-wise. I think can be very helpful. Okay, I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah, and this one is an editor role, where we would like to get somebody to help us prepare our editorial calendar for the year, which is something new. We haven't done this before, so this would be something that will be starting for the next year. And also would be great if you could collaborate with other people in the industry for example, like who are doing online publications, maybe Combo Collective can be kind of like a partnership with them and we can participate. We are doing something like that currently, Christy, right? That's going to be on our website. I think it's a book that they're putting together, or more like a blog around Combo design and development, everything related. And Conversational Collective is part of that. So we're partnering together to produce this. So anything like that would be great if, yeah, to reach out to people and see how we could maybe collectively work together and create some cool content that we could share with the community. Would you like to add anything, Christy or Meredith?
I think you covered it. So the editor would just help to produce that type of content and publish it on their website. And it could be anything from white papers to infographics to quick downloadable ebooks to articles. You just want to build a library of resources that people can go to find more information about conversational technology and design.
Any questions? Thanks for the thumbs up, Megan. That really helps. Okay, then that's our last role. The next slide is going to be the last role that we'll be looking for, which is an IT coordinator. So once our website is live, helping to keep it up to date, you know, posting in the Slack community, or keep an eye on the Slack community. Work with the editor to make sure publishing of online publication content goes smoothly. So yeah, this is great. So it's more like kind of like a two-person, right? Everybody has their own role, but you could work together on this. Then maintain any Convo Collective open source repos. Yeah, like it says, documentation in our static website. I don't know why it says websites. Christy, is there? I think right now we'll be having one website, but yeah. And then work with other coordinators, IT coordinators, if we have multiple, which would be great, to maintain our technology platforms. And like it says, yeah, if you have a GitHub account, you would be good for this role. So this one might have some questions.
It's new and exciting.
Yeah, it's all new. Yeah, a lot of new roles.
If you have additional questions, this one might be a little tech heavy. Our co-coordinator, Matt, is the person who's putting together the website and could answer more technical questions if you have them.
Yeah, and this person, if there are multiple roles, or maybe you're not a developer, or maybe you don't have a GitHub account, but maybe you really like kind of, or helping us be organized. Like something that we had happen this year was we've got passwords, and you know, we're using free accounts for many of our things, but a couple of them are paid. Like we've paid for Zoom, and so we have to manage all the passwords for different people to log in, and we're trying to switch through a different password manager right now, and it's just sort of the logistics of if we had someone focusing on that who enjoys doing it and can help just bring some organization to this process, it would really help us work faster in our other roles. So there's just, yeah, we're kind of like our own little business, and we have all these, you know, different technology things and back-end things that we have to take care of, right? So this role would definitely help.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, so
Okay.
if you know any of these type of tools and stuff that are free to use, we'll try to do everything as for free as much as possible until I guess we have sponsors that we could look more into something that is paid. But right now we'll try to freeload as much as possible.
Very startup vibes.
Yes.
Over here. Okay, so this is the next step slide. You can reach us at conversationalcollective@gmail.com. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about what the next steps are to join our organizing team. We'd like to hear from you by September 30th. We've got a large pre-planning for 2022 that we're trying to get done in October, and we'd love to have our new organizers join us for that. You can also feel free to reach out to Meredith or Jessica or myself on LinkedIn directly if you have questions or would like to learn more. And if you've RSVP'd via Eventbrite, you will receive an email with a link to this presentation for your reference. So you can go ahead and take a look at that presentation, look at the different roles, see if anything draws your attention. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out. And of course, our contact info is on this slide, so you should get that as well. Does anybody have any additional questions they want to ask right now? If you're unable to unmute yourself, please write in the chat and we will help you. Let's see. Okay, no questions. Yeah, a lot of these roles are pretty straightforward. If you want to hear about our experiences, if you have questions about how we've liked it so far, we'd have to answer those too. We touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but we can definitely speak to it more.
Ooh, I just got unmuted. And then I thought of a question. Are there any plans for the future for you all to convert to like a 501(c) org?
So we haven't talked about that as an organizing team, but we do know that other meetups have done that, especially because if you're taking donations, you can make those tax-free. So I definitely could see that as a conversation to have in the future, but we haven't talked about it just yet.
Yes.
Yeah, I recall us bringing it up at some point pre-COVID, and then COVID hit. We kind of just adapted to working through being a remote meetup. But I that would be a really good goal potentially that we could have for next year if it's something everyone agrees on.
That reminds or like makes me think of also like once you're part of the team, you're part of the team, and you can bring up all of these great ideas and anything that you think that would help grow this meetup better, or anything you think that we should do like event wise, and you can also bring in all your input there as well. Anything is welcome, like this, right? Like, yeah, that would be a great idea to do. We've been also hearing from people that are doing live Zoom meetings into LinkedIn, I think, like to the LinkedIn group and Facebook groups when we do our events, which we also want to explore. There's a lot of stuff that we can still do to even expand more and be even better with technology and social media platforms that we still need to explore and work on. So yeah, anything like that, definitely great feedback and ideas, always welcome.
All right, I don't think I have any more questions, at least for me.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so I can see your beautiful faces. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. As I said before, we're the Convo Collective, and we're growing, and we'd love to have you join us. And if you don't, for some reason, get the email from Eventbrite, it's automatic. Just find us on Twitter and say, Christy lied to me, and I will fix it for you. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you later.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, we're still on.
Okay,
Cool. I was like,
is everyone gone?
Yes, everybody.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Cool.
wait, let me stop recording.
Oh, good call.
Oh no, my